Okay, so what is going on, everybody? Welcome back, and we have a one hell of a story to cover today. If you haven't already heard about this, I will bring you completely up to speed on what's been transpiring in the sports world. Yes, we're going to be covering just a little bit of sports, but it's not so much sports, it's the results on what transpired. So everyone is basically up to speed on what happened during Monday night's game to Damar Hamlin when he blacked out on the field and went into cardiac arrest. Now, and while we're still waiting to see how that situation is going to turn out, that's not what we're actually going to be talking about. Because even while that was transpiring, Damar Hamlin was the story, but there was another story that was building in the same breath. Of course, I'm talking about Skip Bayless. So if you haven't seen this, Skip Bayless basically put out a tweet during the game while all of this is happening, while Damar's on the floor, and they're still trying to figure out what it is happened to him, and they're trying to get him to the hospital, and the players, they're on the floor, they're crying, and they're all trying to figure out what's happening to their friend. And rather than, like the rest of the planet, focus on the situation at hand, Skip instead starts to focus on how this is going to affect the season, while all the while wishing the family the best, still pays attention to how this little situation is going to have an effect on the season and if they're going to continue the game or not. Now, with all that said, one thing that transpired as well was you notice that Skip was doing the show on his own. Shannon Sharpe was nowhere to be found, so there was a lot of speculation as to why Shannon wasn't there. We know Shannon and Skip have had their little beefs in the past, but personally, I did not expect Shannon Sharpe to be there. Mainly because, when it comes to sports, there is a bit of a brotherhood. So when something happens to one of them, it almost feels like it's happening to all of them, retired or not. Today was not like it was yesterday because Shannon actually showed up in order to give his take on what's been transpiring and, of course, to cover sports like he normally covers sports, cover basketball and cover some football. But this is where we get into it now. Ooh, today was different. Today was so different. So they got a saying out there that you could cut the tension with a knife. I promise you people, you would not need a knife to cut the amount of tension that was in this room. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to play what transpired this morning. You're going to hear it because I'm not going to show it, but you can hear what it is happening. Because Shannon did take a different turn. Instead of them, bumping fists like they normally do when they start the show, and then I believe the lady's name is Jenna, right? She would normally talk about whatever they're going to talk about. She'd give a little preface as to the subject matter, and then, of course, the two of them would get into it. Shannon would say his piece, or Skip would say his piece. Normally Shannon first, and then Skip after. Shannon wanted to address what happened in terms of his absence yesterday, just to kind of clear the air in terms of any speculation. And he made a request, and this is where I say I'm going to play what it is that they said, and then, of course, we're going to come back and comment. So here we go.
Yes, Shannon, I understand. You have something you want to share this morning.
Good morning, yes.
Good morning.
There's been a lot of speculation of why I wasn't on air yesterday, and I won't get into speculation or conjecture, innuendo, but I will say this. In watching that game on Monday night, what happened to Damar Hamlin struck me a little different. As a brotherhood in the NFL, when injuries happen, when we know injuries are a part of the game, I've seen guys suffer ACLs and Achilles tear, but I've never seen anybody have to be revived and fight for their life on the field. So it struck me a little differently because I remember seeing my brother paralyzed on the field temporarily, and he was able to regain focus. Skip tweeted something, and although I disagree with the tweet, and hopefully Skip would take it down, but I didn't want it.
Well, time out. I'm not going to take it down because I stand by what I tweeted.
Skip, let me finish.
All right, okay.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Go ahead, let's go, Jen.
Okay.
I mean, I cannot even get through a monologue without you interrupting me.
Well,
you could have came back, Skip.
Well, I thought,
Skip, just let.
I didn't know you were going to bring up
No,
this.
I was just going to say, Skip, I didn't want to yesterday to get into a situation where Damar Hamlin was the issue. We should have been talking about him and not get into your tweet. That's what I was going to do. But you can't even let me finish my opening monologue without you interrupting.
Okay. I was under the impression you weren't going to bring this up because nobody here had a problem with that tweet.
No. Clearly, the bosses wanted you to offer explanation, so clearly somebody.
No, they did not have. Nobody.
Let's go, Jen.
Thoughts and prayers remain with Damar Hamlin.
That's where the focus should have been, and not on the football game. Yes, let's go, Jen. Thank you.
As he continues his fight. All right, gentlemen, let's jump into our first topic. Let's talk a little.
Alright, so you heard everything that was being said. Shannon wanted to open up with a little monologue to explain not just his absence, but also where the focus should be. Now, did you hear it? Tell me you heard it. Please tell me you heard the level of frustration in Shannon Sharpe's voice when Skip cut him off to explain that he is not going to pull down that tweet. Although Shannon just made a little request, he said, listen, I disagree with Skip, and I'm going to hope that he, pulls that tweet down. But at the end of the day, it's still Skip's opinion. I think Shannon was going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Although, if anyone knows anything about these two, they know that this tension has been brewing way before this, especially in light of that situation that when Skip had taken a personal shot, or what I feel anyway was a personal shot at Shannon in terms of his football career in comparison to Tom Brady. Not that Shannon brought that up, but because Shannon was making some really good points actually in Tom's performance, Skip took that personal for whatever reason and decided that he's no longer going to be talking about Tom Brady. He's going to now take digs at Shannon Sharpe, which Shannon was almost befuddled. If you haven't seen that clip, go back and take a look at it. You could see it's like Ralph Wiggum when you see that moment of pain in his face just brew up. You could see like, I cannot believe that you would actually take a dig at me for some guy that you don't even know him like that. So this friendship that they have going on has been on the ropes for some time. Although I would lean on the perspective of many other individuals, which is that Shannon is the one that actually believes that they have a friendship. Skip is the one that believes that they are just friendly and have a working relationship. This is not new. This is really not new. Skip is like this. Skip is about one thing. Skip. Everyone knows that. Anyone who's been watching these guys for some time, not even just these guys, how they interact. You've seen how Skip has interacted with people like Stephen A. and Jalen Rose, right? So if you know that piece of history, then you know when Skip has an opinion in his head, he's very stubborn. He's like a stubborn mule. And to get him to sway his opinion is not the easiest task. Although, based on this little working relationship that they have, everyone kind of assumed that, maybe they were close. They clearly know each other's families, and they talk as if they interact outside of work. This was my assumption anyway. But you could hear it in Shannon's voice, the frustration in not just Skip saying that he's not pulling down the tweet. It's the disrespect that he continuously gets from Skip. And Shannon even said it himself. You can't even wait and let me finish my monologue before you jump in. You're so opinionated that you can't even wait the couple of seconds before I say my piece, hear fully what it is that I have to say, and then you can react to what it is that I just said. You're so caught up in your feelings that the moment you hear me mention anything about you, you just jump out and have to react without even giving me a chance to actually say fully what it is that I have to say to gain the full context. This is how much Skip is in his own head. And honestly, I think my favorite part about this clip is Jenna. Jenna just seemed like you could hear her stammering over her words because I don't even think she knew what was going to happen. Like, oh my gosh, it actually sounds like Shannon is about to walk off the show. Like, you could tell that she was kind of struggling to think like, okay, I got to regain control of this because she knows Skip is wrong. Shannon knows Skip is wrong. The only person that doesn't see that they did any wrong was Skip, even when Shannon brought up something that I'm not even sure he was supposed to bring up, which is management must have stepped in to get you to explain your tweet, which is why Skip had to come with some context the next day. Because the last thing that you want is for one of your employees to be trending, especially on a show like this, trending for the wrong reason. And Skip lately, oh boy, Skip has been trending. Ever since he made that comment about Shannon Sharpe and Tom Brady, Skip has been trending. Frankly, I haven't really been able to listen to this show as much as I really like to, namely because I understand their working relationship that they have, but if you make a comment like that towards most individuals on a personal basis now, to where it's no longer work related, you're now touching into my personal life to take a jab at me for some fantasy that you have with some sports star, and you're gonna disrespect me like that, someone that I thought was my friend. My dynamics with you have officially changed then, and there's a really high chance that I'm probably going to be seeking employment elsewhere. So while I commend Shannon for at least being able to some degree, continue a working relationship to where they can at least interact and go about the show, because you can tell right as he goes into his piece about LeBron, you would never ever tell that they were just arguing a second ago, which means Shannon knows how to be at least professional about the situation. But you could still hear all of the frustration in his voice earlier, in him just being so dismissive, saying, let's go. No. You're going to say this? Okay, you know what? Whatever. You can't even let me finish the sentence? Let's go. You know when spouses argue and you have that one spouse who is trying to say their point, and you have that other spouse that just wants you to finish their point because they know that they already know what it is that they want to reply with? They're not even listening to you. They just are already building up arguments within their own head as to what it is that they want to say. And those are people that you cannot deal with. Those are people that you can't interact with. Or you can interact with them. You just got to handle them a little differently. Because those people do not know how to listen. And I can tell you right now, Skip Bayless is one of those people. As Shannon was talking, Skip was already thinking of a rebuttal. And then when Shannon made it personal to address Skip's tweet, not even personal, I can't even say that. He didn't even make it personal. He just said, I disagree with the tweet, and I would hope that Skip would pull it down. However, and before he could even finish the however, Skip was already on him, trying to explain things. Skip, take a hint. You need to learn how to listen, because if you don't and you continue doing this, I promise you, y'all aren't going to make it through the end of the year. I don't know how long Shannon's contract is for, but they'll be really hard pressed. I will be surprised if Shannon actually renews that contract. So Skip, like I said, learn to listen or you're going to lose your partner. And the thing with it is, people like the little collaboration between Shannon Sharpe and Skip Bayless, how they have two different opinions and they offer two different viewpoints. And I don't think the show would be as successful if... Are people really tuning in just to listen to Skip Bayless? Really? Is that how things are? Because I tune in to listen to the both of them. You know, one opinion versus another opinion. So I would keep Shannon Sharpe on the show because it's easier to deal with Shannon Sharpe. You never know if Shannon decides to leave. Will the next person be so willing to just let you say whatever it is that you want to say? You have it pretty easy when it comes to Shannon. I would stick with Shannon, because if someone else were to step into this case, they may check you. They may put you in your place, Skip. You know, kind of like Jalen Rose did. And I don't think Skip has the wherewithal to be able to deal with someone like that. That's just forceful. So, yeah, you need to calm yourself down because you need to stop trending. Anyways, guys, you guys heard the comments. You guys heard everything that Skip and Shannon had to say to one another. Go listen to the clip if you want to and see. Man, I'm telling you. Go watch the actual clip. I promise you, the way that this looks is just crazy because you could see the tension just building and brewing inside of both of their faces. And Shannon is just, after he got caught off, he was just dismissive. He just got so fed up at this whole situation and just kind of put it all down. So go take a look at this, and I will see you guys again for the next one. Oh boy, undisputed indeed. Be easy.